In this video, we're going to discuss what are variables, and we're going to be adding a couple of variables to our code. So let's start by defining variables. We can see that variables are like boxes. So here's a box here, and the variable's name is hit points, and it has been assigned 20. So there's a couple of statements here that we can make. Each variable is of a particular type, and I'll give you some examples of types in a moment. Each variable has a name, in this case hit points, and each variable contains data that we can use in other places in our code and throughout our game. And with our example here, we have a value of 20. So in this example, we would write this in our code as int, which stands for integer, which means it's a whole number. Hit points, that's the name that we've given to our variable, starts with a lowercase letter when we're writing a variable. Equals, now it's not equals, it's an assignment. You need to think of this as we're assigning whatever is on the right side is now going to be the value of the left side. So hit points is now has a value of 20 and then semicolon at the end. So our hit points box, our hit points variable, now contains the data of 20. So if we look at another couple of examples, we have float, which is a type. A float variable means that it has decimal places. It's a number with decimal places. The name is speed, so you can see our box here is speed. And it has been assigned a value of 3.8. That's the value that's sitting within inside the box. And if it's a float, we need to put an F on the end. And then semicolon. We can create a bool variable. Bools mean that something is true or false. And our bool of is alive is currently true. You can see is alive, and then the assignment inside the box is true. And the last example I've got here is a type string name. So the variable is called name, it's of type string, and we've assigned it as the data value of Rick. That's what name has been assigned as. So let's get tangible and put this within our code. What we need to do is jump back over in our script here. So just a reminder, if you've been closed down and you're starting it up again, we're in our number wizard script. We're in Visual Studio. Is within our start method here, we want to first of all declare the variable, and then we're going to initialize the variable. So we'll give ourselves a little bit of space underneath the word start, and before we get to our debug.logs, we're going to type in here int, because it's a type integer we're creating. We'll call it max. We could call it maximum or maximum guess. That's up to us what we call it. So long as it's very, very clear what the name of the variable is representing, then we can call it what we like. So int max, and then if we put a semicolon on the end, that would be enough to do what's called declaring the variable. We hereby state, we declare that there's a variable called max. Now, we can leave it at that and say later on in our code, we would use that variable, we would assign a value to it. Maybe we don't know what max is at start, and it's only after something happens that we know what max is. But for now, we know what max is, so we're going to assign it at this point in time as well. We're going to initialize it by saying int max equals 1000. So that's our maximum guess. And you may notice a green squiggly line underneath the word max. That's Visual Studio saying to us, hey, here's a variable that you've declared, but you're not using it anywhere in your code. That'll change in just a moment. I'm going to come down to line 13 on my script here, and you see the highest number you can pick is 1000. So instead of having that written straight in, because if we change our mind about 1000, we need to go and find this statement and take it out of there and change it up. And what if it changes over time? What if we want to modify it? It's much, much more powerful for us to have this as a variable down in here. So what I'm going to do is delete this part. So the highest number you can pick is, I'm going to do a colon, and then leave a space. And then after the quotation mark, leave another space and type plus, and then write in here max. And we'll touch on this spacing a little bit more later on in the video, but for now we're focusing on the variable. And so what we've said in here is we're going to print out with our debug.log statement the same thing we had before, the highest number you can pick is, but then we've stopped the string part of it. Unity and C# don't care what's inside the string. They're like, I'm just going to print out whatever you've got in there. And we've added a plus operator here, which allows us to join on max. And what is max? Well, you can see when you highlight over or click over it, it knows max over here is 1000. I'm going to put something in a little bit silly, just so we know it's working. I'm going to put in, put in 99999, save that, come over into Unity, and then click on play. And we should see in here, it'll say The highest number you can pick is 99999. So it's reading from the variable, which is very cool. Just unplay that, come back in here. And so we've got our maximum value that is being printed out on the screen because it's printing out this as a variable. So I can come back in here again and change it back to 1000. So that leads me to the challenge I've got for you. It's a nice straightforward challenge. And the challenge is to create a minimum. Create a minimum variable and assign it a value of 1. And then alter the player instructions to use the minimum variable as we did for the maximum. So just pretty much the same as we've done here with max and max. Do the same for min and min. So jump in and take on that challenge now. I'll see you in a moment. Okay, welcome back. This is a pretty straightforward one, but this is the foundation as we're going through this process. Getting this stuff right, this is what will really set you up for success. So I'm going to give myself another line in here and type in int. Again, it's an integer. Call it min, assign it a value of 1, and close it with semicolon as always. And I'll come down into my statement down here. The lowest number you can pick is, and I will put a semicolon and a space. I need a space because the spaces within the quotation marks count. It will give us a space in our console. If I was to do that, it would give us a whole bunch of spaces, but any spaces we do outside here don't count. Unity and C#, just ignore that. They don't care about that. I could do plus min down here, and it would just ignore all of this white space in here, and it would go straight to the next meaningful thing which is there, and we'll join that right up against the end of our quotation mark. So we can do that just so we can make it nice and clean. It's important to us to make it look good, but it's not important to Unity how it uses it, or to C#. Okay, save that. And again, I'm just going to do it something a little bit wacky. I'll do 19 just so I can see if it works. Jump back over into here, click play, and it should be between 1000 and 19. There we go. So in this video, we have given ourselves, put that back to 1, given ourselves a variable to create a maximum, a variable to create a minimum, and then we're using that within our debug statement here so that we're joining our string with our variable. So it prints them out one after the other. Great work, and I'll see you in the next video.